live here. Special guest today, Joe Mergens. Mergens?
That's right.
Mergens.
Mergens. The hard G.
Mergens.
That's right.
The wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable. Thanks for being on, man. We've chatted, on and off, and I know you've been a big supporter of the podcast, so I appreciate you.
Yeah.
And not terribly far away, right? You're over in San Diego
right
here?
Just down the freeway in San Diego. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
A short drive. I drove past you on the way back from Mini Meet West, right?
Yeah, I know. You should have stopped by. Thanks for being on, man. I like your shirt. I like it. Repping the Marshall. What do I got? I got got these new old stock bulbs sitting on my desk here.
Nice. Yeah.
I love the packaging, so I just keep them on my desk. I used one of them for my spotlight. And when I first got that, I got that at Queen's English, and it restored it, and then I tried to turn it on, and it didn't work. So I reached out to what's his Instagram? Do you know? Are you on Instagram?
Yeah. Joe and his monkey car. Yeah.
Joe and his monkey car. I'll have to look that up.
Yeah.
I'm drawing a blank on the guy's name. Maybe it's Marshall something. I don't know, but he posts all the cool old catalogs and the ads and stuff like that. Super cool.
Yeah.
But
there's so much information out there. It's sometimes hard to figure out what's what. You got so many different options, whether you're going, searching something on Instagram or digging through eBay in every other country. My car's from Spain, so I'm on eBay Spain a lot trying to find parts.
Oh yeah. Are there a bunch
it's a challenge.
Are there a bunch of Spanish specific parts on the car?
Oh yeah. Well, my car, being Spanish market, it's a 70. We haven't got into the details of the car yet, but Spanish market Mini. It's an Authy. They were assembled in Spain, so
right.
So it's there's a lot of Spanish specific parts, and I couldn't find some of them during the process of trying to put a lot of it together, so I ended up going to the British versions. But it's interesting digging down that thing, and just this last weekend at British Car Day in San Diego, you still go and look at all the Minis that are there, and you see, I've never seen marker lights or turn signal lights that look like that before. When you come up against a car, and you're like, that's interesting and new and different,
Yeah.
In the minutiae of it.
When I got here, I went to when I first moved, I went to Oxnard Cars and Coffee, and another Mini pulled up, and he had just got it, and he was asking me all these questions. I was looking at it, I was like, what the heck is this? And it was a Canadian car that had those weird bumper with the light high, the turn signals higher, and I was like, what?
Right, and the bigger turn signals, yeah.
Yeah, and he was like, what is this? I was like, what? And then it clicked, and I was looking through stuff. I was like, oh, it's a Canadian car, because he had some of it taken apart and stuff. But that's cool. That's interesting. I don't know too much about the Spanish versions and what's specific to those. So maybe we'll jump into that a little bit later. But you know the drill. I guess always the first question on my mind to kind of get the ball rolling is, what attracted you to the classic Mini? What got you into the Mini? And how did you get to this point?
Well, when I was back when dinosaurs roamed the earth, when I was very young, I bought a TR7 on purpose after having friends who had owned them. And still knowing what a disaster they were to work on, I got one anyway and drove it around for a while until it just simply wouldn't turn left anymore. I could drive it, and the car would just stall out turning left. And Lucas, Prince of Darkness electric system, as you know, it's kind of fun to fight. So I kind of had to give up on that car. I was at a point in my life where I just, I didn't have the time. I didn't have a garage. I didn't have any space like that. And
right.
So I sold it to a kid who lived in the same apartment building up a couple of floors, and he would just go down and sit in it all day long. It's a very, very strange experience. But I drove that for a while and worked on it a lot, every other weekend like you do on a British car. And so I always liked the British cars. There was a guy across the street when I was very young who had a TR5. And I thought they were just amazing interesting designs, beautiful cars, very different than what I was seeing, in the 70s, 60s and 70s growing up here. And so when I got, a few years ago, I wanted a fun car, just a kind of a project car. Mm-hmm. And I bought a 2010 modern Mini, and it was it was a dumpster fire, but it was my dumpster fire, right?
I won't go into that. I've been down that rabbit hole too.
Yeah, exactly. The R56 in front end maintenance mode is a thing of both nightmares and dreams, right? And so I did a bunch of work on that. I had a 2010 that I was driving, sold the Mazda that I was driving. I had a Mazda 6, it was my daily, and got a 2012 Clubman, which I loved. Shortly after that, I got involved with San Diego Minis when I had the R56, then later bought that Clubman. Mm-hmm. And so I had the Clubman as a daily, the R56 as the Canyons car, right? Have a good time with that, with the club. So driving around in that, I really was excited when I saw Craig Williams Mini. He's active in San Diego Minis and also SoCal Mini Maniacs.
Yeah.
SCMM as opposed to SCCM, right?
Yeah. I know. We didn't think that one through. We were like, oh yeah, SoCal Classic Minis, and then they started doing the acronym. I was like, oh no.
Yeah. Right. But just across the board, every single group you get into, it's like, hey, it's folks driving minis, having a good time, and just the greatest people, right? So 100%. Because of what we call ourselves.
Yeah.
So I saw Craig's Mini, and also Teddy Perez is another guy in the group. Teddy Perez has a beautiful 74 Mini that is in the mint green. I like to call it surf green, if you remember the old Fender guitar colors.
Yeah.
And just a beautiful, beautiful Mini. And so I thought, I've got to get a classic Mini. I've got to work on an older car again. Because I remembered working on older cars. My older sister has a 65 Mustang. That's her first car that she still drives today.
Wow. That's cool.
And my older brother put a 289 short block in it. And I got to help, hold wrenches and lift things up and learn how to, cry, bleed, and swear while working on cars. So I thought it'd be fun to work on a classic car again, kind of get into it again and have a car as a daily driver. So I got the, I was looking around. There were a number of different cars. A couple had come up and through the clubs that I missed out on. I looked at a couple that Nate Culpa had over at Wild Child Classics out in Arizona. I was looking at the cars that he had on offer. Yep. And one day, my girlfriend and I were sitting in a cafe in Kensington. That's here in San Diego. And I get a call from Dennis Savarinala, who you had on your podcast.
Yeah.
And Dennis calls me up. He says, Joe, you need to call James right now. James Tran's guy up in Huntington Beach. This is March of 2020, just as everyth's about to lock down. Right. You
were getting your last meal in outside. And...
Exactly. Right. So Madeline and I are having a meal, and Dennis gets on the phone. You know how Dennis is. He's very enthusiastic. It's very excited. Oh, yeah. And he goes, "You need to call James now." And I'm like, "Dude, I'm trying to have lunch here." He goes, No, you don't understand. You need to call him now. So I called him up and made arrangements the following Thursday to go up and see the car that he had for sale. He had 3 Minis. He'd sold 2 of them already. He had the Spanish market Mini, which is kind of an interesting, it's left-hand drive like an American car or Canadian car would be. And it's very much like a British Mini, except, left-hand drive. And some of the parts, the electrics are a bit different, a lot of FEMSA parts. Anyway, so I go up to see James, drive up to my friend's house in Mission Viejo. I've got it. My best friend lives up in Mission Viejo. So awesome. I drove up to see him, park my car. He drives me over. And, so I walk in, I look at the car, and I'm like, oh, great, I'm going to buy this. So I'm trying to be sly, trying to be slick. And Fred and I are looking, Fred's my friend, and we're talking to James. He's got an old Toyota Hilux pickup in his garage. He's got a Cobra kit car, and he's got this Mini, right? So he says, here, just go ahead and drive around the block, see what you think. And I'm looking at it. Car's a little bit rough. There's not a panel on it that hasn't been scratched or dented or little bit of love here and there. He's bemoaning the fact that the lady rolled into it when he drove it out to the gym, banged the rear fender. And there's a big dent right near the gas tank. And I'm like, I'm like, but it's a Mini and it's the right year. California is a little problematic trying to get anything. So 74 and earlier is what you're looking at, right? If you want a Mini,
Right.
So it's a 72, and so I shrewdly negotiate James down right to his asking price. And, hand him, right. So I hand him the money, drive the Mini back to my buddy's house in Mission Viejo, in the rain from Huntington Beach, at
Lovely.
75 miles an hour. Parked the car, just happy as can be, and
Wait. You actually could go 75 miles an hour?
well, yeah.
All
That's
right.
what
Okay.
the speedometer said that, and I'm going to go with that.
Okay.
So, yeah. So I'm on the way back to Fred's place. There's rain coming through the windshield,
Oh,
right?
nice.
At the bottom, because the seal's in upside down. There's rain spraying me in the face. I've got a big shit-eating grin on me, driving down the freeway back towards Mission Viejo. And yeah, like between 65 and 75 on the freeway. Fred's following me, in my old Mazda that I sold to him. And
That's awesome.
yeah, and we pull in. I leave it there. Madeline and I, my girlfriend and I, go back up to his place on the Saturday, and I drive it back to San Diego, right? And I'm just happy as can be. And then I look at the car once I get home. The tires are so bald, there's practically air showing through. I had no business driving this car 80 miles on the freeway. Never should have. I should have trailered it down. And I'd gone up to Hollywood before to look at one a guy had for sale, and and I was going to trailer back. I rented a truck, rented a trailer, and couldn't make a deal. But I guess it was meant to be.
That's awesome. I love that. I'm drawing a blank on his name, but somebody joined up in the SoCal Classic Mini Facebook group, earlier this year, and he was looking for his first Mini, found one. I was like, dude, ask me any questions you want, let me know. And I think it was in Vegas, and he went to get it, and he was going to trailer it back. I was like, you should drive it. And he's like, you sure? I was like, does it run and drive? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, just bring some basic tools. Here's my cell phone number. Call me if you. I was like, you will regret it if you don't drive it, or you'll not regret driving it. Either one, right? And he did it, and he was like, it was amazing. That was the coolest experience. Because when I got mine, they weren't running, right? So I had to trailer them, and I've hear everyone picking up their Minis. Even if you probably shouldn't drive it, you drove it, and it's just that first experience driving it. You just handed over the cash, like I want people to experience that.
Yeah, it's a very fun thing. To get the Mini, to get in it, to drive it, and just experience it. I mean, that's one of the most important things to me when I got the car. The idea was I was going to get it, work on it, get it running, make it look presentable, and drive it around.
Right.
There's so many people that they have their car in a bag hermetically sealed in their garage, and they don't go and breathe on it wrong. And I get that too. I mean, if you want to do that, if that's your thing, more power to you. Everybody should do what they enjoy. Right. If you want to just go and look at your car, that's fine for you.
Yeah. I mean, cars are beautiful. They can be art, and I love looking at mine, but there's nothing like driving it either. So I understand both sides.
Yeah, absolutely. Nothing like making the trip to Mini Meet West this year in a caravan of 6 classics. It was a blast.
Yeah, that's on the bucket list for sure. I'm still unfortunately waiting for parts, but enough of that. I've said it multiple podcasts in a row.
Well, I think we're all waiting for parts. Yeah, we're all waiting for parts. That's why you always order extras when you order.
I know. I'm just well, I'm waiting for the actual gearbox, so it's something I
right.
Unfortunately. But anyways, cool story. I like that. So relatively new to Classic Minis then. You've had it for 3-ish years now.
Yep.
Awesome. What all did you end up doing to it? Did you end up replacing panels? How long did that kind of restoration last?
When I first got the car, first thing I did, ordered new tires and wheels for it, and then tore the radiator apart so I took the radiator out, which is a fun job, right? In a classic
Yeah.
Mini, sits in the wing, and the original motor was a 998.
That's where the blood comes in, right, with the radiator
Yeah.
hose.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, the 998's got a breather on that side, and that lower radiator hose is a nightmare to get out.
Yeah.
So you run down to Harbor Freight and you buy the 2-foot screwdriver that you can reach down in there with and undo it. Lots of excuses to buy, Mini specific or special tools, right?
Yep.
So first thing, so flushed the radiator system, got the system squared away, figured out how to deal with the funky canister on a 998 that holds the oil, because it's not just a spin-on filter.
Okay.
So that's weird. Converted it from a generator to an alternator. The starter solenoid went to lunch right away. So that was one of the first. Almost stranded. Had to pop start the car at leaving the bank one day. That was interesting. Just little things like that. Just did all sorts of stuff like that. Then I worked with a guy named Braun Mullenhauer, and this is a great story. Braun Mullenhauer is a guy who lives in Alpine down here in San Diego. It's inland in the hills. Alpine, beautiful kind of Bavarian kind of town village down here in San Diego.
Okay.
And he's got a paint shop on a property up there, and I was referred to him by a friend of mine who had his car done. His name's he also has a Spanish market Mini. His name's Eric Sanchez, Eric the Wolfman Sanchez.
Oh yeah.
He's got
I know him.
Oh, you know Eric? Okay, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you've seen his car, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's got the faded finish checkerboard roof. He calls it
Yeah,
Patina
yeah.
Turner.
Yeah.
That's
We've
right.
chatted several times.
Nice, yeah. You should get him on and talk to him about his car.
Sure,
He's got a great story, man. He's got an amazing story about that car. So he refers me to Braun up in Alpine. I go up to see Braun Mullenhauer's the guy's name. He paints, and I get there, and he's got these beautiful Broncos that he's been painting. He works with a couple of different shops who do Broncos. And this guy is an amazing body guy, right? So I'm talking to him about the car, what I want done. I've driven it up there so that he can do his magic on it, do all the body work, take it all apart. And my girlfriend's coming to pick me up, right? She comes ripping down his driveway, which is a dirt driveway outside this paint shop, full speed in her Ford Fiesta, right? And slides out of her door, runs up to me, goes, oh my God, this is my grandma's house. His shop is on her grandmother used to own the property. There's a house and then a lower area where Braun's shop is.
What?
Yeah. So
wow.
Yeah. So her grandmother used to own that property up in Alpine where Braun has his shop.
Wow.
So just a kind of
so it's a pretty big property then, or
oh yeah. Yeah.
And did she run a business out of there, or she just lived there and then he turned it into like a shop? And wow, that's cool.
There's a building down below, and he's set his shop up down there. And
wow,
he just,
super cool.
And I get there, and he's doing the body work on an old housing for an old gas pump. Just really just a cool vibe. He's got his shop. His new shop dog was a puppy, and it's kind of sitting there and checking it out.
Yeah,
just a great experience. So Braun did all the body work for me on the car, and just did an amazing job. Like I said, there wasn't a panel on it that wasn't scratched or dented or dinged. And
what's his shop's name?
It's just Braun Mullenhauer. It's not a Mullenhauer paint and body. I don't know.
Yeah.
I met him through a friend, and he's I've reached out to him on Facebook and via his mobile that was given to me, sure. And he's booked solid for like the next year practically. So he's one of these guys who just does amazing work and word of mouth. And
awesome.
Yeah. So if you're down in San Diego and you can wait about a year, call Braun.
Well, yeah. Well, I'll need some paint and body work soon for the S. So
yeah. That's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, hopefully.
It will be.
We'll see.
It will be. It's a Mini. Yeah. It's a Mini. It's been put together with love, right? I mean,
100%.
They all are. Once it doesn't matter. If you're putting it together with love and you're doing it, it doesn't matter what it is. It's going to be great.
Yep. I agree.
Yeah.
So he did all the body work.
Yeah.
Was that the original color? Is that Brooklyn's green, color. British Racing green?
British Racing green. Yeah, British Racing green, and he matched the color from the dash rail. Because the interior is the same as the exterior, and he figured that'd be a little less faded, to do that. So he matched the dash rail. So did that. Basically, I put a new exhaust on the car. And by doing that, I figured out that I had to change both the intake and the exhaust manifold because on a 998, they're all one piece.
Oh, okay.
So I bought the exhaust. I bought the exhaust manifold. You know,
I
the
forgot about
Maniflow
those.
creek flow exhaust and
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
RC40. Got that and went to put it on the car. I'm at the time I'm living down in City Heights on a big slanted driveway with no space at all underneath the car. Got it lifted in the air. Spend the entire day pulling the exhaust off, and get to take the manifold off. I'm like, what the hell is this? Who does this? I had no idea until I got into it
Yeah, I
that the
forgot
intake
about
and
that.
exhaust were one piece. So I had to put it all back together because I had to get my driveway cleared so I could pull my car back off the street,
Right,
my other
right,
car,
right.
and park it back in the driveway. I had to get the Mini back in the garage, you know. So it's fun. It was fun. So pretty much did all that, did the paint and body work, and I've done everything to it since then. Not last December before. I changed the oil, went to return the oil on the way there. The seal gave out on the oil filter, sprayed oil all over Palmerado Road by my house, spun my crank bearings.
Ooh.
So as I mentioned, Teddy Perez and his beautiful 74 Mini, he had a
Uh-huh.
spare 1275 in his garage.
Nice.
So I looked at what it would cost me to rebuild the 998
Yeah.
versus dropping the 1275 in. So I got the 1275. I put that all together and put that in the car. So
Oh, all right.
so
All
now I'm
right.
running a 1275, and lots of stickers, so extra horsepower, right, in the windows, all that,
Yeah.
and yeah.
I
So
used to not be a sticker guy until I got a Mini for some reason. It just looks so damn cool on the back windows there.
mhm. Oh yeah,
Like they're like
oh yeah.
badges of honor, you know. A lot of them are,
Hmm.
meets that you've been to or runs you've done, rallies you've done, or
Hmm.
when I did my engine rebuild, I got the ARP sticker on there now, the
Hmm.
Kent cams,
Right,
it's like sporting,
right.
sporting what you got a little bit. I
Well,
was at a
exactly.
I
Yeah,
was at a
I've got
show one
Marshall
time.
fogs. Oh,
Oh
go
yeah,
ahead.
see? No,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
no, go for it.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, I've got Marshall fogs I bought from a guy in France on eBay France,
Yeah.
and there's a story with every part you buy, right? So I've
Yep.
got a little teeny Marshall cat sticker in the window. But you're saying?
No, I was at a little meet or whatever one time, and this guy, he was super pumped up. I don't remember what it was, some American kind of classic car, and he was just super pumped up. He had just gotten it, and he was like, "Oh man, I love your." He parked next to me. I love your stickers. Like, where'd you get them? I was like, I don't know. I did this run. I did this, and he was like, "Oh, I bought a bunch of these off of eBay." I was like, "They still look cool though. Like, like I just collected these over the years. Like
Right.
he like
Yeah.
he had already liked that vibe, and I was like, and he was like, "Oh, you get them from like." Rallies and stuff. I was like, yeah, like go like
Yeah.
start doing this. I was like, oh, this is a great idea. It's
Well,
cool.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've got like the I think the first sticker I put on there was a San Diego Mini sticker.
Yeah.
Slapped that on the car right away. And that one, my friend AJ Ashley, he helped me. I mean, everything that you do that has any quality in it, what's the old saying? You stand on the shoulders of giants,
Mm-hmm.
right, to get to where you are, to achieve that plateau, that get on top of that mountain.
Right.
And AJ is one of those people that he's forgotten more about minis than I'll ever know. And he hasn't forgotten very much. but I met AJ years ago. I work as a computer guy. That's my trade. And
Okay.
I met AJ when he was an engineer at Carvin Pro Sound Audio. And I didn't. I saw a Mini in the parking lot, but I didn't think anything about it. And this is years ago. Years
Yeah.
ago. And later on, I get involved in San Diego Minis, and AJ's involved. He's there. I see him, and I haven't seen him in a very long time. And he's just brilliant, quiet, unassuming. And he gave me one of the old school San Diego Mini stickers from the club was first formed.
Oh, that's cool.
And he said, when you get your classic, you can put this on your car. So that was the
That's
first sticker
cool.
that went on. That's the first sticker that went on my car.
That's super
And
cool. I love that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. But yeah, those are cool. They're fun to collect, and like I have. There was what was it? I'm drawing a blank on it. We do a run, and the guys call it the Black Sabbath run. It's my
Mhm.
uncle and his friends. A lot of British cars, but there's Datsun in there, and just a small
Mhm.
group, and they've done it forever.
Yeah.
and but they always make little stickers each year with the 2020 or
Nice.
whatever year it is, and it's just like
Nice.
it's just cool to kind of have that on there, and especially
Yeah.
the 2021 because that year was just crazy, and finally we got
Hmm.
out to do the Black Sabbath. It was called the Black Sabbath because they used to do it on Black Friday after Thanksgiving.
Oh, there you
Um,
go.
but
Yeah.
yeah, just cool things like
It's,
that.
it's
I
not
like.
that y'all just cranked War Pigs on the way out.
I probably would have if I had speakers in my Mini, but
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Yeah. Well, what you need to do is you make yourself a speaker board that sits underneath the seats, and get a Bluetooth amp. That's what I've done. I've got a little
uh-huh.
Bluetooth amp in a box. As a hobby years ago, I used to make custom guitar effect pedals, and I had an old box from one of those,
Oh.
and I slapped a Bluetooth amplifier in it, so now I can just turn on my iPhone and
See, I
send it right
got
through
like
the
a
6x9 in the
little
back.
I got like one of those little Bluetooth speakers on
Hmm.
Amazon or whatever. It works
There you
fine,
go.
I guess, but
There you go.
I can't justify putting in speakers and anything like real ones because my
Yeah.
car is so damn loud. Like I don't have a headliner, I have some of the
Hmm.
interior, so it's just like,
Hmm. Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
want to waste my time. Okay, weight savings, I guess. If I had
Yeah.
like
There
a
you go.
nice full interior one with some better sound deadening and stuff, I would definitely do that because it's fun
No,
to cruise.
I've got an MDF board wrapped in carpet with two cheap 6x9s in it. This is nothing
Yeah,
to write home about, man. This
yeah,
is,
yeah, yeah.
you know, and you get on the freeway and it gets a little loud. You just turn it up a little bit louder.
Turn it up louder. Yeah, love it. I
Yeah.
love it.
No,
I
for the
want to.
first year and a half, I no speakers of any kind. I just drove the car, listening to the car.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's a big part of it too.
yeah. No, I the first time I actually put the speaker in was when I did my road trip up to Idaho.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, well, I need something for the maps at least to kind of
Mm-hmm.
at least alert me in case I'm snoozing on the freeway and need to take an exit or something. But it worked fine.
Yeah.
I want to ask you though, because I've heard you say this and I've seen you ride it. What's the meaning behind the monkey car?
Oh, it's just what I've called the car since I got it. Um, I was when I made guitar effect pedals just as a hobby, nothing really earth
Uh-huh.
shattering. It was called monkey pedals, right?
Okay.
And it's based on just an idea that I had about a theme for marketing these things if I ever did decide to sell them. And I figured out when I was making them that I might make about $2 or $3 an hour if I kept doing this. And so it wasn't really the smartest financial decision, but it was very fun. Taught me a lot about a lot of different things. And my daughter designed a bunch of different logos for the different pedals. And there's like this overarching picture of a monkey. And so that's kind of a logo that I've had forever. And the car, I just started calling the car the monkey car. It's like, I'm going to go work on the monkey car. The monkey car needs this done. We got to do this, got to do that.
Right.
And so I've just called it that since I got it. There's nothing really significant about the name other than, it's just the monkey car.
It's kind of your thing, yeah. I get it.
Yeah, yeah. So it's got a logo on it. I had a fuel bib made with the logo on it. It's the
Oh,
same one
cool.
that's tattooed on my wrist there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So the second sticker I put on was a white vinyl monkey sticker that matches that in the rear quarter window.
Yeah.
And so it's just been the monkey car. If you go on Instagram, Joe and his monkey car, you can see different pictures of the car and the logo and stuff. But it's always been done kind of. The idea of the car is just to have fun, and there's lots of little tongue-in-cheek jokes here and there about the car. Like on the back, it's got a sticker that says, maximum capacity 15 clowns. So 'cause people give you grief about it. You mentioned a Canadian car, and there's another guy. You'll like him. His name's Mike, right?
Easy
Who
enough.
came down to he came down to I met him up at Mini Meet, or I saw his car up at Mini Meet West. It's a Canadian market car. It's got the big lights that you were talking about with his cruising
Uh-huh.
and stuff. And he had guys just tease him that his car was like a clown car. They put a big bow tie on it and a big clown wig on the top of it when he was out one day, at a meet. And so he just embraced it. And I think that's what you run into in this community is people just embrace the fun and just the idea of the car. However serious we get about making certain things are done right. like the safety's done right, or talking about the mechanics of how something should go together, or, whether it's a picky little detail about, well, we need to make certain that, you got to use the right oil, or you've got to torque the stuff down to the right specs. You've got to make certain that you're safe with how you're putting your car together. As much as we do that, we try to have fun. Everybody that I've run into, I've seen people in other car groups that get a little bit angry, and I don't see that in the Mini group.
No,
not to the same, to the same extent. We don't walk around with our hair clenched, right?
No, not as much. Not as much.
Not as much. I say that, but catch me working on the car, and something that I'm really obsessed about. It might be a little different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's those
just
10-minute jobs that turn into 10 days.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, my daily's at 2023 John Cooper Works, and I have to, and I bought it last year, end of August 30th, so it's about a year old, and I already have to do the rear brake pads, and I ordered the wrong brake pads.
Oh no.
So, but
man, you've been driving the hell out of that thing, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, daily driver, computer guy all over San Diego County, so you can put a few miles on a car.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. That's people will probably flog me for this, but that's one of my, cliche to say dream car, but I always wanted the JCW for daily. I've had every generation, S and Coopers and stuff like that, but I worked at Mini of Camarillo here for a few years, and man, the newer generation JCWs, they're a nice little machine. That'd be a great daily driver.
Yeah, the F series,
Yeah, they're amazing.
Yeah, the other one that would be fun would be an R53 JCW. That would would, finding one of those, or the first GP would be nice.
First GP would be fantastic. My very first one was a 2002 R53. But that was before they came out with like JCW, so it wasn't a JCW, but it had all of the JCW things that they I guess offered at the time. Man, I love that car. It was amazing. The aero kit on it was actually pretty small and nimble, raw. Supercharger was fun, but unfortunately I let a buddy drive it, and he ran a stop sign and totaled it. So
oops.
Whoop. Yeah. Unfortunately. Yeah. But no, that'd be a good find. The GP would be cool. I think maybe it's, I don't know if it's the first GP1 or not, but a buddy and Victor, I think he has a GP1. I could be wrong. He has a GP, but I don't know if it's a GP1 or GP2.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Well, I think the GP1 and GP2 are great looking cars. I'm not a fan of the aero on the GP3, the wings on the side by the fenders. I know some people love it, and to each his own. I'm not a fan.
Have you seen it in person?
Yeah, I have. And
it's weird.
Other than the weird fender wing things going on, beautiful car. It's like when you look at something and then a piece of it is jarring, the design kind of kicks your brain out of it a little bit. That's what it does for me. I'm not,
It just doesn't look right. It's not as bad in person to me, but it's like, man.
Yeah. But that statement right there is pretty much telling. It's not as bad as I thought it would be.
Yeah.
It's like
it grew on me a little bit.
Right.
But...
It's not a rousing endorsement.
Yeah.
If it's not hell yes, then it's not yes. Right.
Yeah. Yours is I could be wrong, but it looks like it's Rebel Green. Is that the color?
Yeah, Rebel Green, black roof, the gray, what is it? The light gray interior.
Gotcha, I forget what
that's very brave, Joe, to go with the light gray.
Yeah.
And I'm constantly cleaning the leather, constantly going in for the door, armrest on the door, and the seat and stuff, because it's a daily driver. It's got 20,000 miles on it, so I'm always cleaning that car.
Yeah.
But I ordered it to the exact spec that I wanted.
Beautiful car. No, I love that. That's a great color, and I think I haven't seen it yet, but it would be a great classic Mini color too, because it's not, it's not like crazy metallics. It doesn't look. I think it would flow really nice on a classic.
Yeah. Yeah. But if you get, you get that color, you can't claim 100% BMW free on your Classic if you do that.
I don't have that color. I don't have that sticker, so.
Yeah, Eric does. Eric's got that in Patina Turner.
Patina Turner, I love that.
Yeah,
I love that.
he's got that's an amazing car.
So what all did you kind of do to your monkey car? I see that you got the sweet roof rack,
Yeah,
sets of wheels.
Oh yeah. Well, I got the ultralights on it, put those on with A008s, and those are great tires. Of course, the Advans are through the roof expensive now. They're double in price in the last couple of months.
Yeah, we were just talking about that.
Yeah, because I had ordered the ultralights and I wanted to get some Advans. I was going to buy them locally, and I ordered the tires with it. I was going to put the tires on the original rims. And they ordered the tires. When I ordered the tires and the rims, they put them together. So it's like, well, I don't want to go through taking them all off and all that. And then I got a closer look at the original tires, and like, there's no way I'm going to put these back on the car,
right?
Without. So, so did the roof rack. That was Peter Bridger's roof racks out of England. He's got a Facebook page. He does some beautiful, like the Volkswagen style roof racks, a bunch of different versions of them. That roof rack,
the wood and stuff.
Yeah, he'll do. Yeah, with the wood slats, you can get them in different colors. I've got lignum is the type of wood that was used. He sends it disassembled from England, and you just bolt it together and slap it on the car. And I had that on the car with tires on it when I went up to Mini Meet West, and on the way down the hill into Hemet, it jumped off the back of the car, broke my lens light, my license plate light, and bounced on the road. But I hit like a little whoop-de-doo right before a stoplight. It couldn't have happened at a better spot. And all it did was break that light. It didn't hurt the car at all. And the roof rack was just sitting on the road behind me as I was at the stoplight. It was hilarious.
Because what's all holding it on? It's just the little kind of side. There's like suction cups, and then
there's suction cups on the top that hold it in place, but there are two clamps on either side that clamp it down to the drip rail.
Right.
Same way it would be like a lot of the old Volkswagen ones. There's nothing holding it to the front or the back, and there's only one clamp on either side of it. So you really can't put anything heavy in it and drive around with it. Otherwise, it'll very slowly scoot back across the roof. So did the roof rack, did the motor upgrade, did the body and paint. I soundproofed the interior and carpeted it. I ripped everything out and put all that stuff back in. New headliner in it. I've got the Stevenson Motor Co. Clear visors.
Oh yeah, those are cool.
Yeah, and the ones I've got are yellow because they're great in fog. So and I'm running yellow. Yeah, I replaced the headlight, the full headlight assemblies and cups and everything. And so I've got yellow halogens in the front, and then I've got the yellow Marshall lenses and the full Marshall headlights. On the I added the fog lights to the front of the car. I had a smaller set of them on there. I replaced the bumpers front and back with the rolled bumpers because I kept cutting my hands on the original bumpers, which are in
my gosh.
So replaced motor, new starter, all the ancillaries on the motor are new. I've gone through 3 different carburetors. I've got an HS4 on there right now, single HS4, which is fine for the 1275. Gives me plenty of power to get up a hill.
I actually really liked my HS4 on my 1275, and I thought it was a nice little peppy carb. I switched over to HIF 44 because everyone says to do it, but it's not. I don't think it's a night and day difference. Maybe a little more top end or something. I feel like the HS4 is a nice, pretty. It gave it some torquiness. I don't know. Maybe I just had it tuned better. I don't know.
Well, I think that the different needle in the carb is going to make a difference too. I mean, you can change the needle in the carb and get that top end response that you want. That you get in H. The only difference is the float is in line, right? On an HIF. Yeah. And in my car, you put an HIF in and it fouls on the firewall. I had an HS2. Which I painted I painted the dashboard cover like a Lego head, right? Then I changed that carb out for an HIF 38, painted the Lego head on that, went to put it in the car and it wouldn't fit.
Oh no.
So then I got an HS4 and I painted that dashboard cover like a Lego head. So I'm done painting carburetors. This is the last one.
No, I like that car, but I don't know. It gets some
Yeah,
hate for some reason. Maybe not hate.
yeah,
It's just like it's very undervalued. I think
yeah,
I loved it. I thought it did really
yeah,
well. I bought one off of eBay and did a
yeah,
thorough cleaning rebuild on it, and it ran boom,
yeah.
amazing.
That's
Ran
what I did. I
amazing.
bought. Yeah, yeah. The only advantage I can see would be go to up to an HS6 if I wanted a little, a bigger throat on the carb. But
Uh-huh.
for how I drive the car, I mean, there's a couple of great roads right close to where I live, and
Hmm.
it's a blast to drive it through the hills. And I actually was following back. There's a couple of wineries in the hills up here, and I was
Yeah.
following a modern JCW, and the only place it was getting away from me was on the straight.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, you know.
It'll
So it's
hang.
fun car to
Yeah, I
drive.
probably won't switch back because now I got a little bit bigger of cam, and I just like to
Hmm.
drive it at full
Yeah,
throttle all the time, so it does the job.
yeah,
But I don't know. We'll see.
yeah.
I was thinking about trying to find the matching, the opposite side float of HS4,
Hmm.
so I can do a
Yeah,
dual
dual
setup and
carb. Yeah,
try that.
yeah,
Give her a
yeah,
go.
yeah.
Or I'll just clean my. I have my original Cooper S HS2 duals.
There you
That
go.
would be kind of fun to try out, but maybe
Yeah,
I'll save that for the actual Cooper S. Don't want to
exactly. Get
taint.
those.
Don't
Yeah,
want to
get
taint them on a later model.
the. Yeah,
That's where the purists might be like, "What are you doing?"
yeah. So there's plenty of people out there willing to spend your money and tell you how to spend your money on your project, right? It's
Yeah,
like, dude, you do yours, I'll do mine. Yeah,
yeah,
I think
100%.
I definitely put. I mean, if you want to put the dual HS2s on the car that's running,
Yeah,
just to see,
I'm
to
just
do it.
testing it
Why
out,
not?
man. Testing
Why
it
not,
out.
man? I mean, I'm far from purist on my car. I mean, I've got a mini Metro engine in my car right now, the 1275 I got from Teddy. So, it's like I wasn't worried about what the numbers said or where just like, will it fit in the car? Can I run
Um,
it? Can I put
yeah,
another engine steady in it? So it's, and, so yeah, so I've done a
yeah.
bunch of, yeah. So I did I replaced both the clutch and slave master cylinders or clutch and brake cylinders.
Uh-huh.
That's the fun job, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah. And after doing it, I went ahead and bought the special tool in case I ever get up there again to do it.
What
So,
for a special
yeah,
tool for what?
for the clevis pins.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Knock on wood. Maybe because
Yeah.
I'm not very tall, but it is a pain in the
Yeah.
ass. But mine came out pretty damn easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not the most comfortable position, but for whatever reason, maybe mine were so old that they just like bent perfectly and like fell apart when I
Yeah.
pulled it out. But
Oh my gosh. The past president for San Diego Minis is Joni Berkowitz. She and her husband Craig,
yeah.
and they have a bunch of classic minis, a Morris, a London Taxi, and a
Oh,
bunch of
that's
modern
cool.
minis, and they're just the greatest folks. She has a mini named B, and she had to take that clevis pin out because it was stuck. It had actually grooved. The center of the pin had grooved
Oh
and wouldn't
no.
come out, and it was a nightmare for them to take out.
Oh
Yeah,
no.
but
I
when I
put
took
back
mine out,
in
I had
like
to
the
take
little tar
yeah,
clips or whatever.
yeah. Well, that you got to be careful with that because if they pop out, because
Yeah.
those can pop out in use.
Yeah.
And I
That's what
heard a story.
I've been
Yeah,
trying to like look at it. I haven't driven it much since I've done that. So
yeah,
I've been like testing. I was like, are these gonna get like hit if I like depress the pedal?
hmm
Like, are they gonna hit and like pop out? So we'll see.
hmm yeah,
I'm gonna redo that whole thing too because I finally figured out. I had when I got the car, the masters were on washers. I just thought somebody did like a shoddy job on it. But it
hmm
turns out those gaskets that are supposed to go under there are kind of like hard plastic that
hmm
elevate it, plus the little tray thing, and it elevates it just enough so when you let off the brake pedal, it allows the fluid to go back and forth. So when I remounted it, I just put it on the bulkhead, not using that
hmm
like the proper trays. I just like I didn't look at the
yeah,
manual, and it wasn't releasing the brake pressure, and I was like, what the hell's wrong? Is the master? And I went through everything, And finally, one person like, "Oh, did you try this?" I was like, "That's why those damn washers were there." Because he
Hmm.
said, "Try to space it out with it was just like a test, like try to space it out with washers and see." And I was like, "That's why those damn washers were there in the first place." The guy like didn't buy the right parts and just used washers, and
Hmm. Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
So, anyways, long story
Yeah.
short, I'm gonna be replacing all
Yeah.
that and making it
Yeah.
proper.
Well, but that's the thing, and you'll never forget now.
Never
Just
forget. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. When I did my clevis pin, I pulled the driver's seat out and did the upside down yoga to get in there. It was because I did both of them, and
Yeah.
when you go to put that cotter pin in, and it falls into another dimension.
Yeah. Yeah, I found out too when I was down there dealing with that I didn't actually have a clutch and brake return spring on my pedals.
Hmm. Hmm.
I don't know how it was functioning perfectly before, but so I added that back in and it does give it a little better feel. So
Yeah, yeah.
crazy.
It's amazing what you find when you dig through these things. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
but oh my gosh, yeah. The when I changed the motor, I also changed the transmission the different transmission because I was running
Oh,
a remote change and I went to a rod change.
okay.
So so you put everything back together. You go on a shakedown run, and I bought. Speaking of tools to make your life easier, parts to make your life easier. There's a kit out there that has a spring clip in it, right? So when
Uh-huh.
there's a little cylinder for the rod change when you go to connect that. Normally
Yep.
there's a roll pin that you drive
Oh,
in,
right.
right? Well, they make a kit where you can snap in a pin. It's a little snap ring, right?
Yeah.
It's a pin with a round spring clip. And so I used that thinking, hey, this is great. I can just snap it in and go. And it's awesome, right? Until you're driving at about 30 miles an hour, you shift gears and one of those shoots out down the road and now you can't shift anymore
Oh no.
because
See,
because your rod change is suddenly disconnected.
I was always wondering how oh no. I was always wondering how those were.
Yeah.
And I was gonna get one, and I was like, oh, I'm not gonna have this engine out. I'm not gonna need to do this again, blah blah blah. And then of course the engine's back. I was like, all right, maybe I'll do it. But then yeah, I always thought like I don't know about that. It seems a little sketchy. I like the kind of
Yeah.
solid mount there. Oh, so maybe
Yeah.
I'll skip on
Yeah.
that one.
So exactly. So always put a little tie wire in your toolbox in the trunk of your car in case something like that
Good,
happens, or a coat
good
hanger, or a
advice.
pair of pliers, or something.
Good
But it's all
advice.
little
Good.
things like that, and then knowing how to work, how to work on your car when something's gone sideways that way.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I know exactly what it is. I had it apart, I put it back together, and I understand what's going to need to happen in order to fix that. You
Yeah,
know,
that's 100%, and that's why I'm not afraid to drive mine and drive it a
no,
long distance because
right,
99% of the things I've touched on that car and I know how to fix it, whether I
yeah,
have the parts to fix it or not. But yeah, it's a little,
yeah,
confidence for sure to
yeah. Oh
to
yeah,
take it out.
I was bombing down the 15 coming back to my place, and my fuel filter decided to split off and spray gas all over my motor as I'm driving down the freeway. And this Volkswagen is buzzing by me at about the same time. I mean, man, that guy smells like gas next to me. That guy's really. And then I realized it was me.
Oh no.
So I drift over to the side of the road, jump under. I'm like, oh, there it is. It's just the fuel filters come loose, the little Jubilee clip, and then
Yeah.
I got rid of the crappy plastic fuel filter that was under my hood, which I never should have done in the first place, and got a good Millipas 2-bar fuel filter,
Right.
mounted it to the firewall, and boom, and done. You
There
know,
you go.
so you learn the lesson. What is Paul Hickey, Hickey Race Engineering, always says, buy once, cry once.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Spend the money on the good part,
Yeah.
and just do it right the first time, and don't buy a cheap $3 plastic filter and stick it on your car that you care about.
100%. 100%. Yeah, no. No, I've learned that lesson, and with the Mini, it's like I care about it so much that I'll wait to buy the part or whatever because I want to do it
Mhm.
right, or I'll,
Yeah,
I'll spend weeks researching it. My wife always gives me shit. I'm like, no, I want to find one, the best deal, two, the best part, like, or the best deal on the best part. Like I don't want to just go.
yeah,
So, but
for sure. Yeah,
Joe,
I know
any other
exactly what
projects
you're
you
talking about.
got going on?
No, just the monkey car. Well, changed the brake pads on my JCW.
Oh yeah.
Wrong part, but
How's the brake
No,
job? I got a brake job coming up on my F56 too, so
it's easy. It's
I figured.
cake. There's an adjuster on the rear because the e-brake. If you're doing the fronts, it's cake.
Yeah, I figured it'd be.
I know. I've had the rear wheel. I took it apart and then realized I didn't have an E16 socket for the carrier bolts
Oh,
for
geez, yeah.
for the caliper. So
Harbor
I put
Freight
it back
I go.
together, drove down to Harbor Freight,
I was just gonna say
and yeah, exactly. Put it back
that's
together.
my
Drove down
only
to Harbor
running
Freight.
car right now. So if
Yeah.
I better check exactly what I need before I take it apart, because I'll be like, oh no.
Yeah. Well, the irony is I got the nice JCW and I got the classic Mini in the garage, and if it comes down to it, my girlfriend's Ford Fiesta is always running. It's always running. Never has any trouble. Runs like a clock.
Joe, you ready for the
Yeah.
Patty probe?
Yes, I am. I've been studying. I have answers for
You better.
all your
You better.
all your
Don't
questions,
clam up.
pal.
Don't clam up. One of these days, I'm gonna just rewrite all of them, and somebody's gonna be like, "Oh, I'm ready." I'm like, "Oh, are you?"
I didn't study for this, man. I didn't study for those questions. Yeah.
What is your favorite Mini variant?
Mini pickup. Yeah. Yeah. At Mini Meet West, there were a couple of them there, and I know I'm 6'2". I can't. I wouldn't be able to daily a Mini pickup.
Right.
Yeah, it just wouldn't happen. But of all of them, the one that stands out to me that if I could, if that would be the daily. And the Stevenson Motor Co., the one they did with the Honda swap Mini that they did with the wooden sides on it.
I was just gonna say with the wood. Yeah.
Oh, gorgeous! That's a gorgeous
Man,
truck.
they do some cool stuff, man.
Yeah, they do.
I keep hounding them over email to get on the podcast because everyone wants to hear from them,
Yeah.
and Peter, who did the Classic Mini Breakdown podcast, he was like, "You're gonna be the king if you get them on." I'm like, "I'm doing it." So I keep hounding them. I'm like, "Dude, everyone wants to hear from you."
The videos they do are just quality. The instructional video stuff they've done, the maintenance stuff,
man.
the product.
I still
that they
watch them.
Put out.
I rewatch them just I'm like, I'm just gonna watch that. I'm doing my valve timing or something like that, and I'll just rewatch that video, even though I pretty much have done it enough times to know. It's just like it's nice to rewatch them.
It's reference. It's just great reference.
Great.
It's Haynes manual's great, but the reference of somebody actually getting there and saying, "Do this, do it this way." If you're gonna pull the wheels off, if you're gonna lube the wheels so you can get in there, do it on wood if you can. Just the little pieces of advice that make all the difference that you won't see in a manual. Yeah.
The next one is how many minis have you owned, but maybe I'll change it up. And how many minis do you plan to own?
Well, I don't know that I'll own more minis unless something happens to my JCW, and I've got the classic. And unless I have more space, I don't know that I'll get another classic because I'm this oversized one car garage. I want to be able to keep it inside. But I had the 2010, I had the 2012. The 2012 was totaled in an accident. I was hit from behind, and I drove the car away around the corner. And the guy who hit me in his Dodge Dart folded his hood all the way up to his windshield, and they had to put that on a flatbed and take it away. And that told me enough to know that this Mini's a pretty safe car. So I got a 2018, and then the dealer offered me a trade-in more than I paid for it because they couldn't get trade-ins because this is COVID, right?
Right.
The 2018, they couldn't get cars, and the used car market was through the roof. So I sold that back to the dealer and got the JCW.
Hey, good trade up. I like that.
Yeah.
Now they're safe cars, and I've said it 1,000 times. I get flack for it, but they're like, for me, it's the ultimate like daily car because it's just close enough to a classic Mini in terms of like fun, but it's just modern, right? Like it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You can see the resemblance in certain things, and they're much more fun than driving a Camry or something. Like.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. With San Diego Minis, we got so many people, they just love the car, but so many people come into the group because of the modern Mini,
right?
And it's their daily. From kids like Silas, where it's the first car he ever bought. He's joined the group, and guys like Andy, who's got his R53 Cooper S that he bought new, that he still drives.
Amazing. Amazing.
And he's got a classic in a Chente, and he's got a Moke in the garage he's working on. So Yeah, Moke's a
Want
great
a
variant.
moke. Want a
Yeah,
moke. I know.
yeah,
It'd be perfect for San Diego, right? Like,
yeah. Oh, you
imagine
know
just
it.
cruising to the beach in a moke.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You'd
Yeah, one of
be,
the guys went
man.
to Mini Meet West. He drove his Moke all the way from Florida to Mini Meet West.
What?
Yeah,
Who?
hardcore, man. Hardcore.
Wow.
Like, yeah, this guy
Dang,
named
that's a
Dean, and
haul.
Dean
How
and then
long did
his
that
daughter
take him?
Carolyn flew into San Diego. Oh, a week and a half, I think. He met up with
Yeah,
Al
that's
Frost.
rough.
Dean met up with Al Frost in Kentucky, and they drove together all the way from Kentucky
I love
or
that. See, I'd
Arkansas. I
love
think.
to
I
hear
think.
that.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, it was just
I don't
super
care,
fun.
I don't care if you tow your car there. I get it, but like that's what it's all about, man. Those adventures, and I'm bummed this year. I wanted to go on that rally that I went on last year to Idaho. This year it's in Oregon. I'm bummed because it's just, man, the experience in a classic
Hmm.
car on the open road, man, is
Yeah,
just something I'll never forget.
yeah,
So,
yeah. And then on the way up, there's six of us on the way up, and Al lost an axle. He snapped the rear axle bolt just outside of Santa Isabel.
how'd that
And so
happen?
half the group peeled off. They left the car there. Two out of the other two out of the six headed down to Ramona to try to find parts. Then down to El Cajon, and we took off. We kept going to Lancaster for the three of us, and Mini, a
Yeah.
Moke, and a Mini. We meet Lancaster. These guys were maniacs. They stayed up all night getting the car done. Left El Cajon at 6 in the morning. Met us in Lancaster, and then we went from Lancaster up to Santa Maria. You know, it's
See?
and it's just a blast. Just
It just
the
creates
stories and the experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what it's all about. It's so much fun.
Amazing.
It's
What's
a
been
fun,
your
fun thing.
favorite mini modification and or one that you maybe want to do?
Oh, favorite modification. Um, the easiest modification and one of the most important ones for me was seat extenders. I'm 6'2",
Yeah.
right? And I love driving my Mini around, and the seat is fine.
Yeah.
But it just needed to be back a little bit further so that I could be comfortable driving the car around. And that makes it, I've got back problems, so it's easy for me to now be on the road for 2 or 3 hours in the car, whereas I wouldn't have been able to do that before. It's a simple
Yeah.
thing,
Yeah.
I mean, putting a new motor in, that was great. Getting the car painted, that was great. There's all sorts of pain in the ass jobs like the radiator or the clevis pin under the
Right.
dash. But the most important modification for me was moving the seat back 3 inches.
No, that's a great point, man. I not even moving the seat back, but like something so simple for just comfort was obviously my bucket seats. I love those. They need to be reupholstered and get some new padding, but the comfort wise. But was
Yeah.
the steering wheel drop bracket.
Yep.
Have you, I mean, you're taller, so maybe it's not a great
Yeah.
choice for you, but for me, it just brought everything down into such a more comfortable position, and it works perfectly. I can just kind of relax while driving. I'm not like so, fighting it so much.
Right. It's not like it's out here and it's a bus.
Yeah, yeah. The
Yeah.
great
Well,
great
with
little
me,
mod.
yeah. I bought I bought a really nice steering wheel to replace the one that was chewed up in the car,
Uh-huh.
because the steering wheel had been changed out from the original Mini steering wheel, which the guy gave me with the car, to a smaller wooden wheel. But it had all delaminated, and I was getting splinters in my hand trying to drive the car.
Right.
And so I got a really nice 14-inch steering wheel. It's just too big. So I bought, the riveted, laminated wooden wheel, just gorgeous.
Right.
I bought a cheap, like $85, $85 Mountney steering wheel to fit the Mountney Boss that's in there. Great mod, just because it makes the steering wheel just a little bit smaller. Because getting in and out of the car too, you get a big steering wheel. If it's down
Yep.
too low, you can't get into the seat, kind of thing.
Yep, I have
You
that
know.
Mountaineer one too. It's great
Yeah.
wheel.
It's perfect. 13-inch wheel. It's slightly fatter, so the steering wheel's not slipping in your hands. It works
Yeah.
great.
It is. It's good
Just
wheel.
little ergonomic changes that make it easy to drive the car. Probably the
Do
biggest
you
deal.
have a favorite mini wheel?
Yes. I like the Dunlops. I like the Mambas, the original Mambas. The ultralights, I bought a set of ultralights. But my favorite mini wheel is the original steel wheels. I took my
Yeah.
original steel wheels, I took them down to a powder coating shop. I had them match the color as close as they could to what's on the roof.
Uh-huh.
And these are I think they call them the reverse wheels because they're the ones designed to go over the drum brakes. So
Yeah.
I've got the original steel 10-inch wheels with dog bowls on them.
Yeah. Yeah, those
Yeah.
reversed Steelies are can't go wrong with them. The Cooper
Yeah.
S Steelies and the reverse Steelies, that's one wheel I wish I didn't sell, but I did to
Hmm.
fund the motor build. But they look so good, and I go back and forth
Yeah.
all the time. What wheel am I going to use on the Cooper
Yeah.
S? That's not necessarily period correct, but a classic vintage looking wheel.
Right. Or like the
And
Cosmics. Those are great wheels.
yeah, and I have the Cosmics. I have the Cosmics, but I just something about it just doesn't look super classic to me. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I just always come back to the Steelies. Just looks so damn good on minis.
Yeah.
I
Well, and,
remember.
and I'm not running any kind of arches or anything.
Yeah,
So so
that's
so
what
with
I'm
the
saying.
steel
Because it
wheels, it
looks.
looks, when you start running arches or doing something like that, like Craig's got some ultralights, they're wider, and he's got some pretty fat like sport pack style arches on his Mini,
Yeah,
and they look great on his car. I think a lot of it depends on how you're building your car out, what your car looks like, because
yep,
everybody's Mini is different. It's a little bit different, right?
yep, 100%, 100%.
So it's yeah. So I don't think there's a best wheel, but I think for my car, I like the steel wheels. I think they look best.
They do. I do. It fits really well. I like it. You can't go wrong with that. When you're British Racing Green, it's just a classic look. If you could have a drink, coffee, beer, tea with one mini celeb, who would it be?
I was talking to my girlfriend about this earlier. It'd probably be Rowan Atkinson. Of everybody that's out there, I mean, Mr. Bean, but it's not because he was Mr. Bean. I mean, he very famously crashed that McLaren, right? He's a sports car enthusiast.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
the reason that he's interesting to me is also because I watched Mr. Bean, but I watched all the Blackadder television series stuff. I watched the movies that he's been in, like The Man with One Red Shoe with Jeff Goldblum, where he played a stand-up comedian. He was a stand-up comedian for a long time. He worked with Ben Elton and all the writing that he did for
yeah,
Mr. Bean and the other television series and stuff that he did. I think he would be an interesting guy to just kind of hear his story about how he got into motorsport
yeah,
and what that meant for him and what doors were open for him that way, but also what it was like just being in theater, being a celebrity that way.
yeah.
This is all around. I mean, it's just so much to the guy beyond just being Mr. Bean. I'd like to hear more of the other stories.
I agree, and a few people have said that, and it's a great choice. I like those that you kind of, yeah, Mr. Bean, obviously, but he is actually a car guy, and I think that would be a really cool conversation for sure. And I've had a thought of trying to find out who his agent is or something like that. Just
Mm-hmm.
might as well reach out. What's the worst that
Yeah,
can happen? Someone says no, but
right.
maybe I'll
Exactly.
have my sister-in-law help me. She's in PR, so she knows how to find that
There
kind
you
of stuff.
go. There
Maybe
you
she'll
go.
be
Yeah,
my agent. She'll reach out to these people for me, and we'll get
that's
these
right.
guys on.
That's right. Yeah, and
That's
you call them up. If they start to deny it, just say, "Don't you know who I am? Haven't you heard of my podcast?"
the Mini Life podcast.
I mean,
got-
come on.
I
Come
just
on.
passed 7,000 listens. All right. I
Yeah,
don't know if that's
yeah.
good, but it's good. I
You should
guess.
have
I
him
don't
sit
know.
down before you tell him that part,
He'll be like, oh,
so they
wow,
don't fall over.
got him. Dun, dun, dun,
Yeah.
dun.
Yeah.
Joe, I appreciate you being on, man. Anything else you want people to know? Go follow Joe and his monkey car.
Yeah,
San Diego
and,
Minis,
yeah,
president of
San Diego
San
Minis.
Diego Minis now. You took that over?
Yeah, took that over for Joni and Craig. They've done it.
Fantastic,
They did
dude.
that for a long time. Megan Spangler was doing it with them before.
Yeah.
It's a great free club. We're on Facebook, San Diego Minis. Check us out there and send a join if you're interested in that. No dues. We do. We're into both classic minis and modern minis. We're very, very inclusive. Really pushing to kind of bring people into just the idea of mini life, right?
Yeah.
Drive
Yeah, I
your
love
car,
that.
have a good time, spend some time with some fun people.
Yeah.
We had around, I think, over 20 minis show up for the San Diego British Car Day.
Love that.
So was a
Love
good
that.
group of people, and just smiles all the time, man. Good times.
Love that. When I get mine back up and running, I'll take a little trip down and see you guys, and we'll go for a cruise or something.
Yeah, yeah. I was looking forward to meeting you in person this year at Queen's English, but I blew my head gasket on
I
the
was
way
gonna
out.
say you had a little mishap. Huh?
Little mishap. So I spent my weekend changing a head gasket instead of looking under my own hood instead of looking under other people's hoods. Right.
Right. It happens. It happens. Well, Joe, I appreciate you being on, and I will catch you guys on the next one.